Well, hi and welcome to TOOP TV. You might well wonder why I'm standing on top of this rooftop car park surrounded by Adelaide's beautiful architecture. Well, all will become apparent in a few moments' time. Coming up shortly on the show on SA's Finest, a beautiful property in Rose Park. Its position is absolutely second to none. On TOOP's Tips, be sure to catch up with our weekly magazine to find out how you'll sell your home faster. And then, of course, finally, we're live and interactive and we will be answering your questions at the end of the show, so keep them rolling in. Well, hi everyone. With a long weekend coming up, there's plenty of excitement on the card for everyone. We've got WOME Adelaide, we've got the Future Music Festival. There is so much happening in Adelaide at the moment. It's a really exciting time. So if you're just looking to enjoy the Cup or get away for the weekend, don't forget you can always come and have a look at a couple of open inspections with us as well. It certainly will be an exciting weekend. Coming up today on the show, we've got Tony Romano. He's going to give you some tips on buying investment properties. And now on Inside Story, some talk about apartments.
It used to be the Aussie dream, a home with multiple bedrooms, bathrooms, living rooms, a fully equipped kitchen plus entertaining area and a big backyard. But as a growing number of people are choosing to live outside of their home more than they live in it, the demand has increased for high-density micro apartments. These comprise of a compact kitchen, living area and bedroom with a small separate bathroom and laundry, perfect for the empty nesters, professionals, childless couples, singles and students.
I think a lot of it's low maintenance. A lot of people just don't like to mow lawns and don't like to do work like that. So if you'd rather go and have a cup of coffee somewhere, it's much easier to live in a compact environment.
So with this affordable form of housing rising in popularity, it has many contemplating where more of these apartments should be built.
I think that if we are going to have high density areas, then you need to make sure that there's services around that can provide for that high density. So, things like supermarkets and, even your health services and things like that. So I think that, they're important things that developers need to think about as well.
While the city is an obvious choice to build, Nord, Unley and Glenelg also have the entertainment facilities to suit a busy lifestyle. And as we're about to discuss, there are many vacant spaces in and around Adelaide just waiting to be developed, which will create a sustainable future.
Well, some interesting thoughts there, but we'll perhaps touch on that in a few moments' time. Joining me on the show at the moment is the Lord Mayor of Adelaide, Stephen Yarwood.
Hi Tim, it's good to be here.
Thank you for coming in. We should have a little bit of an interesting discussion shortly. Before we get things underway, perhaps give us a little bit of a background on yourself, how you've come to land in the big seat and how things are going at the moment.
Well, I think this is a great interactive way of sort of describing my values, in fact. Very big about online social media and use that in my campaign. But my background is as a town planner. I used to call myself an urban futurist. That's what I always wanted to do when I grow up.
Good.
So town planner with an MBA, worked in state government for about 8 years, local government for about 6 as the principal town planner at the City of Playford, and also worked in Parliament for a couple of years. So got sick and tired of giving good advice to elected members.
Right.
Thought I'd give it a red hot go myself. Went out and in fact knocked on every single door in the entire city. Took me 3 months, 7 days a week. Epic experience. Learned a tremendous amount about my city. A city I now love.
Yes.
And it's a true privilege to have a chance to represent my community. It's a long haul, long days. Never been happier and loving it.
Well, good. I'm pleased to hear that. A bit of passion is always good, I reckon.
It's what you need in your Lord Mayor, I'd like to think.
Definitely. Now, perhaps to move into some of the interesting things that have been in the media and so forth in recent times. The Advertiser a couple of weeks ago, the talk of probably mainly by yourself of putting apartments on top of some of the council-owned car parks.
Yep.
Hence the introduction at the show. Tell us a little bit about your thoughts on that.
Well, I live smack bang in the middle of the city. In fact, I live on the same block as the Central Market. I absolutely love it. I've got a decent set of wheels. That's my son's pram.
Right.
Got another decent set of wheels. That's our trolley.
Yep.
And I walk to work, and great lifestyle. Don't sit in a car. Don't stand at a bus station. It's a fantastic lifestyle. Get to walk to work, crawl home from the pub. It's that vibrant lifestyle. Interestingly enough, it's not just baby boomers. I've got a couple of kids and really enjoy it.
Okay.
So housing, city housing is becoming a lot more trendy. I was talking to Bernard Salt, a famous demographer,
Yes.
about this, and we're trying to come up with a name that does sea change or tree change, but is more CBD change,
Right, yeah.
getting people living back in the city. Adelaide City Council is actually the fastest growing council in metropolitan Adelaide per capita off a low base.
Yep.
Because the baby boomers want to move back into the city. Young people might not necessarily want 2 dogs and 2 cars, and there's lots of different opportunities. It's got to be about housing diversity. Drop-top housing is, prefabricated housing. There's plenty of rusty roofs and empty roofs that we might be able to squeeze some more housing. And I think the key is about housing diversity.
Yes.
All sorts of housing means we provide more options for more people to spend more time in the city.
Okay, so interestingly, I did note that there was an ad in the paper yesterday asking for expressions of interest in the drop-in box, so to speak, for want of better terminology.
Yep.
Do you see that being on the affordable housing level, or is it going to be a broad spread of priced property?
I'm really trying to take my town planning hat off when it comes to leadership at the City of Adelaide.
Yep.
And so for me, I'm not going to define those solutions.
Right.
I've spent my whole life listening to experts.
Yes.
I'm not going to stop now.
Right.
And I do know that there are all sorts of businesses out there that will have alternative solutions.
Yes.
From really sort of upmarket stuff,
Yep.
penthouses, big views, big rooms, maybe right through to student housing or affordable housing for retirees. I think
Yep.
there's a big market for retirees in the city. So
Certainly.
frankly, if there are people listening who've got good ideas, most importantly, leadership is about listening, and I'm all ears.
Oh, well, good. I'm pleased to hear that too, because it's, I guess it's probably a space that most people have envisaged that is reserved for the big money. Sitting on top of anything with a magnificent view is generally reserved for some serious money. So if it can be spread across the community, that'll be quite some fun, I think.
Yeah, well, it's about getting all sorts of people living in the city. There's a real opportunity to get people who are nurses and service people who aren't necessarily earning $200,000 or $300,000 a year, as well as students. So that mix is actually what makes Adelaide a vibrant place.
Definitely.
And it's what makes Adelaide more accessible. And in fact, 50% of all city daily users are under the age of 30. So it's a space that people want to be in, and often they're the ones with the disposable income. They're the ones that are going to sit out in the cafes with their bikes parked next to them. And that's what we want in the City of Adelaide.
Yeah, vibrancy. Speaking of vibrancy, how's the Adelaide Oval going?
We had a council meeting last night, and I really do start to think we're starting to tick off some of the big things.
Yep.
We're prepared to give them a lease. We can go to 42 years.
Right.
State government and SACA want more.
Yes.
We're happy to support the state government in legislation to actually extend a lease. Something tells me Adelaide Oval's been there for over 100 years. It's not going anywhere.
No.
So we've ticked off those big boxes. Now it's getting down into some of the city management plan. 50,000 people crawling over the city is going to need more lighting, more rubbish and maintenance, those sorts of things. Car parking, we're starting to explore a range of car parking solutions around the Oval, and we're prepared to put some money in terms of appropriate infrastructure to deal with that.
Yep.
And also, it's great, the Stadium Management Authority are looking at starting the football experience at the train stations out in the metropolitan areas.
Yes.
And I reckon we should be banging at 50, 60, 70% car parking, gradually moving that way over the years. So I remain optimistic, and realistically, if you've got any SACA members watching, they're the ones that you should be lobbying.
Oh, look, I certainly agree with that, and it's just an interesting space at the moment with a couple of high-profile people lobbing their hats in the ring, talking about 2 stadiums and all sorts of things. What are your thoughts? Does the council have a feeling on a second stadium at all?
Well, we're about capital city footy, and frankly, the money's on the table right here, right now, to turn Adelaide Oval into a world-class stadium, and that's what I'm about. We need to deliver. Frankly, as Lord Mayor, I can do 1 term, maybe 2 terms maximum under legislation.
Yes.
I'm right here, right now, and I do think that one stadium can be used 7 days a week.
Absolutely.
And I think that's what we need. We need to not think that this is about weekend footy. This is about having a facility that's going to be used all day, every day, and having one facility that's being used 7 days a week for 20 hours a day is for me, that's what Adelaide should be about. You couldn't build a stadium in a better position when it comes to location to the CBD, location to public transport. So, it's on the cards, it's on the table. I'd really like to help get this across the line.
Encourage everyone to get involved and push it. I guess a little bit of a point of mine that I've always been fascinated about, and with the redevelopment of the Adelaide Oval, creating more of a corridor through from the likes of the train station and say North Terrace across the Torrens and so forth. Is there thoughts about opening that area up, creating more of a vibrant area with cafes and restaurants at the moment?
Oh, look, absolutely. I think the focus has to be on Adelaide Oval right now because I'd call it a cascading effect.
Yes.
If we can get the investment in the north side of the river, I think the southern side of the river will unfold. There's money on the table for the convention centre, and I do know that a number of private owners of property in that area are interested in putting up their hand as well. It's a really interesting time. I was in Canberra meeting with the Prime Minister and all the Lord Mayors of Australia, and the federal government has funded the Integrated Design Commission. Tim Horton is the Integrated Design Commissioner, and he's generating a dialogue around what we can do to work together and some good quality urban design in that precinct.
Right.
There's a lot of concrete there now. I don't necessarily think it needs to go beyond the existing footprint. I think there's opportunities to rip out some of those car parks which actually have a beautiful view of the river. And I don't only mean 20 car parks here, that when you pull up through the wood you can actually see the river.
I like the thinking.
I'm not sure we need car parks with river views.
No, I'm not sure that they're that valuable.
Yeah, so there's a great opportunity to do some work there and revitalise that area.
Yep.
So I've been called Mr. Optimistic. I hate to be too optimistic, but frankly, if that's not my job, I'm not sure whose it is. And let's try and thread the eye of the needle and get some of these results happening over the next 4 to 6 years.
Well, hopefully we're not in the minority in those sorts of thoughts, and that the perhaps Adelaide's silent majority might get behind it and give it a bit of a push, because I suspect that a lot of people want all this to happen. They just don't have enough to say sometimes.
Well, I do like to remind people that I got elected on the basis of an optimistic position, and that's refreshing. So it means the City of Adelaide residents, the small group of residents and businesses that voted me in, want to change. So if I'm here to represent change, and that's my job, I'm prepared to give it a red hot go.
It's all good. Now, we could probably talk for another hour on this, but that's all we've got time for in terms of this. But stay with me for a few moments. We've got some questions shortly. At the moment, we're going to go behind the blinds.